when we feel intense doubt mass, what we usually do, the cure we've learned for that is seeking, mental seeking, right? Daydreaming, distraction, all of it. So it's like, take a step back and get to that discomfort of the friction point of the doubt mass that didn't start when you became a spiritual seeker. It's already there. It's what makes us feel like we're holding back from life, in a sense. How do I sort that out? You can't. You just can't, right? You can't. It's illogical. It's this, you have to go beyond logic. That's why the friction point itself is so powerful. That's why the one-pointed approach is so powerful. That's why Mu is so powerful. You can't start to answer it with your mind. It's impossible. You are in an impossible situation. When you want to wake up, you're in an impossible situation, because what you've been taking yourself to be sees the world a certain way, and that way creates its own prison. That's the instinct that we know. That's the doubt mass. And truth is what is the light that shines through. So that's the key. That's the cauldron of misery, in a sense, that wakes us up, that helps us to wake up. So I can't give you an exact answer, because you have to find your exact answer. And again, it could be anything. It could be, what is Mu, right? That worked for me, in a sense, because there's no mental process that's going to make that make sense. Who am I might be useful, but for some people, it's too intellectual almost. Like, well, you start thinking about, well, who am I? Well, I'm this and that. I'm the past, and I'm my memories. Okay, well, I'm not my memories, but I'm conscious, so I must be consciousness, right? And it can kind of lead to almost an intellectual thing. But for others, it makes sense. Or where am I? Or what am I? Right? So you have to find your question. One way of approaching this is to remind yourself every time you start to doubt it, or every time you start to seek. Okay, no, it's not in the future. It has to be here. Well, what the heck could it be if it's here? It has to be here. It's already here. So what is it? Yeah. The mind might say, oh, well, it's this and that. I need to merge with the objects. Okay, that's thought. What's here that's not thought, right? Anything the mind says, you can essentially discount when it comes to this and say, no, that's more seeking. What is it that's here? Or what is it that I am taking myself to be now? Or what am I? What is the perception that's the most primary thing right now? What is the sense that's the most primary before it reaches out to identify with anything? What is that? What is my face before my parents were born? So any of these can really catch for you, but I can't tell you which one it will be. Be careful what you believe. Be careful what you learn about spirituality. This is all about primary discovery. You have to discover something that I've never discovered, or that anyone here has ever discovered, or anyone that's woken up has ever discovered, because that's what it'll feel like. It'll feel so completely new, so completely fresh, so primary that no one has ever talked about it. And you'll know that. That's what we're talking about, right? That's what we're pointing to. It's before any concepts, before any conceptions, before you learned anything, even about spirituality, especially about spirituality. The freshness of it is fascinating, in that often people will say, this is not what I thought it would be at all. It's not really spiritual, right? It's not, of course not, because whatever you thought spiritual was, that's what you were expecting. This is not what you're expecting by definition. Anything you're expecting is a thought. Sometimes it's just a matter of being really honest with yourself and going, what ideas have I collected about this? Just say, hey, I actually believe that I'm going to talk this way when I wake up. That's a thought. It's a belief. It won't be like that. It won't be like that. It's too fresh, too immediate, too alive. And so then it comes to the word aliveness. You asked about life or aliveness. I've actually had discussions with people about this word. For me, all I can say is, for me, I didn't realize how much distance I had felt from being alive, or from aliveness, when I was in my head. Like I knew I was alive, but it felt like almost like looking out from a window and I was managing life out there or something. It wasn't just like aliveness, being alive, celebrating and enjoying itself. So sometimes it's an obvious perception that there's a sense of separation, distance, isolation, hesitation from life. Like you're always holding back a little bit, or trying to manage it, or pushing and pulling on it. Sometimes that's obvious and sometimes it's not, but it's always obvious when the shifts start happening.